Hello, everyone. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon.
Hello.
We are still gathering, so let's wait another 1 minute before we get started. In the meantime, while you are all gathering, please drop in the chat where you are from. Okay, we have South Africa, we have UK, we have India, UK, Canada. Okay, so it's already quite widespread globally. Iran, Munich, Germany, US. Very good.
Let's see how many time zones we span.
Yes, a lot. I'm not that fast in calculating them right off the top of my head.
And from Canada on the west.
Brazil. Hello,
how
Brazil.
far east do we go?
Oh, a lot of people from Canada.
What time is it in New Zealand?
12.
Late or early? I don't know. Probably early.
7 a.m. Welcome.
7
Thank you for
a.m.,
joining
yeah.
us.
Yeah.
So it's already tomorrow for you. Very good. All right. So maybe let me give you some technical advice before we get started. So let's use chat for introduction. Also, if you want to chat with Matthias, with Diana, they will be here talking to you in the chat. If you have any questions to our panelists, please put them in the Q&A section. Okay, it will be much easier for us to manage them. Of course, we'll try to catch any questions from the chat if they appear there, but if possible, put them directly into Q&A. This webinar will take us more or less 1.5 hours. There are a couple of activities planned there. So we'll kick off with case study, but also we'll have Q&A and we'll have some special activities for you. So please listen carefully to our panelists and listen carefully to the case study because it will be important later when we finish. We also plan to record this webinar and the recording will be available after the webinar. So we'll be able to find it on the pages of Kanban Plus, Kanban University, and Xuviate. All right, it's 7:03 Central European time, so I think that we can kick off. So, hello everyone, this time officially. My name is Anna Radzikowska. I'll be your host today. And today we would like to welcome you to the 4th anniversary of Kanban Plus. And using this opportunity, we'll introduce, actually my guest will introduce the case study, how to get from maturity level 0 to 2 within 6 months. So this webinar is brought to you by Kanban Plus and Xuviate with partnership with Kanban University, PMI Germany, and BASF Germany. So let me introduce our panelists. So Josep Grau, plant manager in BASF, Jochen Schléger, senior engineering manager in BASF, and Mark Geschke, accredited Kanban consultant in CEO and Xuviate. So those gentlemen will present the case study to you. And we also welcome David Anderson, CEO of Mobius Group, Inc. I already shortly mentioned the agenda, but let me introduce it now fully. So we'll start with the case study, which will take us around 50 to 60 minutes. So we'll give you the introduction to BASF process and needs, and then some key learnings from and insights of the transformation that took place there. And after this case study, we'll have a few minutes where we'll introduce you to Kanban class if you don't know our platform yet. And we'll also have a giveaway. So for that giveaway, you need to listen carefully to the case study. And later we plan the panel discussion and Q&A. Okay, so gentlemen, the stage is yours.
So thank you very much. Then can you hear me? I guess yes. Yeah, so
yes.
First of all, thank you very much for the interest in our case and for giving us the opportunity to present it here. I guess you felt some like this man here in the picture somehow. You had a wonderful dinner yesterday and you ate with your pals, you had a lot of conversation, a couple of glasses of a very good red wine. You ate a lot and today, you feel in heaven. It was really a wonderful night. Yeah. On the other hand, you feel heavy, you feel sick, you can hardly move, and you are asking yourself if you will be able to stand up and walk again. Yeah, somehow it's like I feel walking by BASF. So BASF is a huge company with more than 100,000 employees all around the world. We are present in almost all business processes. And we are with about 250 production sites in almost 100 countries present. Yeah, so an amazing company with brilliant past and very successful present, caring with society and with environment and very employee oriented. I'm an example of that. The company gave me and my family to go around and to get to know other cultures and countries. So I'm really proud to work for this company. On the other hand, we are talking about a very, very big company. And big companies are normally very traditional and somehow over-regulated. And it is very, very challenging to introduce changes. And does it fit for the future? So we are talking about, or you are hearing words like focus, transformation, flexibility, agility, and with so a traditional and over-regulated company, can you do it? So quite a bit of challenge, as you can imagine. And this challenge is much bigger if you are talking about Ludwigshafen. What you see here in the picture is our biggest production site in the world. Yeah, it is about 30,000 employees, about 800 production lines. So a huge production site. But you know, I love challenges. And a couple of years ago, they offered me to have the responsibility here for one of the units, the Tamol plant. And I decided to take this challenge. Yeah? So we are talking here about a unit which hardly changed in the last 20 years. Yeah, so which had a very successful past, but at the same time, a very, very challenging present. And if you want to face what is coming in the future, we have to be much more proactive, agile, target-oriented, yeah, and to have very flexible processes. Yeah, so that's how we decided to introduce Kanban for our processes. I have to be honest, it was not a very challenging or let's say a very difficult decision for me. I was working with Kanban some years ago in Tarragona and very successful, I have to say. Yeah, we introduced Kanban. Tarragona is a BASF site too, much smaller than here in Ludwigshafen. We are talking about 1,000 employees or 1,500. And as you see here in the slide, we were able to move in a couple of years all our main indicators in the right direction. Yeah, so really, it was not difficult for me to think, okay, if we want to succeed, then let's go this way. From my point of view, before we begin and we step a little bit deeper in the process, three, let's say, main key things if we want to be successful in the implementation of Kanban. The first one is you need a sense of urgency. Yeah, so in Tarragona, we took our production process, so very central. Here in the Tamol plant, we decided to go for our management of change. when we are deciding to change something in our units, in our plants. The second one for me is to have some quick wins. So something you can show, let's say, to your employees, to your bosses, if you want, yeah, that they are motivated, yeah, and they are supporting, let's say, this engagement. Yeah, so here you have to visualize, you have to improve your teamwork. And I think these are things that really at the beginning are coming up if we are introducing this kind of organization or let's say process orientation. And the third one, and from my point of view, the most important one, is you need a strong leadership. Yeah, so because you will face challenges. You will ask yourself, it is the right way. You will not collect your very best results in the first couple of months. Your team will ask you, okay, are you really convinced about that? Yeah, so you have to remain strong and to be very, very, let's say, focused in the future, and to have this endurance which is necessary to go on with the process. Yeah, so I would recommend to deep a little bit, yeah, into our process, and here the one who can explain you the most and the best is the Jochen. So Jochen, your stage.
Yeah, thanks, Josep. First, maybe let's introduce me myself. I'm Jochen Schléger. I'm responsible as a senior engineering manager for the 5 plants for performance chemicals in Ludwigshafen. So I have a team of 25 engineers and technicians who work on projects, mainly brownfield, and as well this plant modification, what we are talking about. So maybe just first let me give you a small picture of what is a plant modification about. Plant modification, from our wording, is a technical or a process modification.
Jochen, we seem to have a few technical problems with your feed. Should you perhaps switch off your video to just see whether the audio gets better?
Just wait. Is it better now?
It sounds better, yeah.
Yeah, it's a 3-step approval process. So it starts with the initial approval. After the prioritization of the plant modification, then it has the final approval when the final cost estimation is there, and at the end it has a small approval for the startup of the after the installation of the plant modification. And it involves often more than 10 people, depending, of course, of the size, and that has an invest of up to 200,000, because everything above we clarify as a project with a little bit different approach. So maybe if we can go to the next slide. So what was the time before our Kanban? We used, maybe as quite a lot of teams, at least at BASF, the one Excel sheet to realize or to organize ourselves, to have an overview, what are the tasks which are open, what we have done already, what do I need to perform. And as you can see, it might be already quite complicated. And also you see quite easy that there are some white lines. The white lines are often that ones because we could not really get everybody involved by using the Excel sheet. And that is always a thing. Then you have missing figures, and also it's not really showing the real tools, the real effort you have in the plant. So that was one of the main points why we were looking for something else. And the result of this Excel sheet and how the work was performed before was these 2 pictures, how the people felt like. On the left side, you have this normal sentence, this bow wave. That means that you have a lot of work and still in front of you, or at least it feels like. And per day, it's get even more and more, because the next person tries to push something in the system to get you as quick as possible to run the job. And the other point often was the feeling from the people like somebody throws the things over the fence. It wasn't really properly prepared in a way that the following person can really perform the work efficiently. So you would need to clarify a lot of things. You need to ask the other person a lot of questions, and it raises a lot of open questions and problems during the following process. So maybe if you go to the next slide. And that was, if I still remember, we had a session with Mark from Xuviate, where he explained us the idea about Kanban, and I really was quite fast with a good impression of it, because what he explained is that we will implement work in process limits to get rid of this bow wave. And everything what we will install, we start from the beginning with a current process, so that we will not define everything new from the beginning, allowing people to follow us on this change process. And the other good idea, what I really liked, is that we have everybody involved. So we had the first time really the same understanding that everybody is needed. So that means from the production guys, from the engineering people, but also from the construction sites, maintenance guys. So everybody was involved really in the whole process, and we could define now a new way to how to work. And the other main important thing, what for me, is that we first try to finish work before we start something new. Because that was also one main topic especially in the Tamol plant, but I think in quite a lot of other places as well. Because it's, from an engineering point of view, it's always more interesting to start new things before you're finished with your boring documentation. And this is something now we really have to focus on, that you finished your work properly and completely before you start new things, and to have a good visualization. And the first team meeting that we had, and my really enthusiasm got a little bit down. And that is the point what Pep already mentioned. You need a strong leadership, and you need to be able to show the whole picture to the people, because they often don't see it. They raise questions like, what else shall I do? Another meeting, because with the Kanban you have dailies in the routine. I will come to this later on. So the people see also not only positive things, but also things why they maybe not should change and follow the change. But I think that it's important now that right at the beginning you have already this strong leadership. So if you can maybe go to the next slide. And after that, we actually started, and we started in a boot camp, and we started with the core team. So not everybody involved from our team. For my team, it was mainly the maintenance, the engineering guys. So most of half of the team were at the core team. So we choose that persons who were really willing and enthusiastic on new things, change things. That guys we took in the boot camp, and it was really an interesting time. So that was the first 2 weeks. I still remember was quite a lot of basics, theory, and it was really hard to get this in the calendar next to your daily routine work. But you can figure out a way, and it's important to also give the prioritization to the team member, that they really focus on this change. If you don't have this, I think you will not succeed. So it was really an intensive time, this two weeks theory, but then the next week was really exciting, because we created and analyzed our current process, And I know we had still a lot of discussions with Mark going on, discussing the right way, because I mean, we are engineers. We would like to try it and to do it in best at the beginning, but of course that was not possible. But at least because we only had 1 week to really create our process. As I explained already, we tried to copy as much as possible. But you have to create your own boards, and we had to create 2 boards, so 1 team board and 1 overview board. I will show you after the slide the boards. And I still can remember we went pretty well with the team board, but from a view backwards, I would still say it was a draft version. But at the time being, it was the best we could deliver. And the overview board was really not, it was there, but it wasn't really discussed with everybody. So we started then the Friday, and I can still remember my call with Mark, and where I asked him, Mark, shall we really start on Monday, go live? And with everything, and he told me really confident, yes, Jochen, we should go, we should do it. And that was actually the point when we went on Monday. And over the weekend, Mark pushed all the plant modification in it that we have basis. And then on Monday, we sit together with the whole team 1 day, figuring out all the plant modification, to put them on the right place in the board, to create all the child cards and everything, to be able to use it as a basis for our daily work. So that was really an exciting time. And now I can show you the slides, the boards. So we have actually 1 overview board that really describes the whole process. At the left side, you can see, of course, it's written in German, but on the left side, you can see it's more the conceptual phase with the prioritization. Then we have a basic engineering planning. We have an approval process. Then we have a detailed planning. We have some element where we can find or schedule the plant modification. So when, at which time, during which plant shutdown, for example, we would like to implement it. And then on the right hand side from the gray row, you can see it's the construction fields, so the construction coordinators with the regarding companies perform the work and plan their work, and then afterwards it goes over the testing and startup, and then also the documentation. And last but not least is then to have a short review if everything was performed as we planned to. So this really shows an overview of each single plant modification, how it runs through the whole process. And all this small dots in the overview, that is actually 1 child card, and the child card goes in the team boards. So we had actually different team boards. We had a team board for engineering, for asset management, for construction, and also for the process management. So what is the aim of this? The aim of this is that you really have an overview for your team. What is all the work you have to do in your team? So as you can imagine, and as I explained, we have now this Kanban board for the plant modification, but we have also bigger projects. So what we also did is that we showed the projects in that board, in our team board. Also in our team board, you have some work which has nothing to do with plant modification. Maybe you check some documentation, you perform some calculation of safety valves, not really knowing if it will be a plant modification afterwards. So, but it's still work which has not been seen in the past. And this is now the goal with the team board, that you can show everything what the team is doing, so that you have a realistic overview about the capacity and the workload the team has. And that is the game, the reason why we have different team boards, to really allow everybody to have their own team view, and also to have a more detailed view. So of course, if we have, for example, a look at the detailed engineering part, we have a lot of different steps again, which would be too complicated to show them on the overview board, because it's really more, let's say, management board. And this one really describes then all the detailed process, all the different tasks we have to perform in the detailed engineering process. So that's the team boards is about. So maybe if you can go to the next slide. So, and here I will show you some charts from our process. So we started around, I think it was February with the go live. And what you can see here now is the work in progress. So it means how many plant modification we do in parallel. So they are all really performing and in work, not finished. So, and you can see we started with around 140, even a little bit more, 150, something like this, plant modification. And around March or April was it, that was the time where we implemented the work in progress limit. So we set ourselves a limit where we said, okay, it's much easier for the whole process, and if we have a certain limit and don't implement too many plant modification in parallel. So how did we set up this limit? Actually, we could see in other charts I will show you later on that it took for us about 30 months until we really finished most of the plant modifications. So that was the time and one of our goals which we wanted to achieve to reduce. And to be able to do that, it's actually the goal then to reduce the work in progress accordingly. So our goal was to halve the cycle time, so to reduce it down to 15 months. And therefore we choose a work in progress limit of 64. So the following from March until January, February was really get rid of all plant modification, and then afterwards we really get down to the limit of 64. So that means that at that time really no plant modification entered the system, and that is another point Josep mentioned already. That is really the time where you need to be strong and to explain the people, and also that it is not good for us if we start again following the old path and take again new plant modification. We stay strong, we take first the old things, because they don't get faster if we start already earlier. And that was really a tough time, I would say, for the management to stick to this limit and get down to it. And currently you can see it's really a flat curve, so we stick to the limit, and even we are slightly below our limit of 64 for quite a time now. So if you go maybe to the next slide, and here you can see the throughput of plant modification. So how many plant modification we finish per month. And one thing you also recognize here is our normal situation that we have plant shutdowns where we are able to install quite a lot of plant modifications, and during the plant shutdowns it's limited to only a few ones. So that is always the high peak you can see. Interesting is, but it's also the last high peak, because that was really the highest one we had ever, because that is because we really concentrated on get things finished. So still all plant modification we had in the system, which were not that strongly pushed in the past, but now really got the focus, because we have a strong focus now to really get things first done before we start new things. And that allows the team really to have this high peak at the beginning. And also on the average curve, the green one, you can see that we raise our throughput from the beginning or from the time of Kanban and a tiny bit before as well. So this is also a good path which we could see with Kanban. And if you go maybe to the next slide, and here you can see the cycle time scatter plot. That is also an interesting part, because now you can see the plant modification which we have finished and how long did they stick in the system. And one goal is, of course, to be reliable. So to really have a graph and the average, so it's the green part is the average, that it really gets down again. Because if you have a high deviation between the cycle times, so a short cycle times, and really old or plant modification which have a really long cycle time, that makes you unpredictable. And if you are able to push this together, and what you see now is that from the left side you see, let's say, like a triangle. That is the time when we started with the Kanban, or let's say that's the data which we put into the Kanban system from the old plant modification. So our task was to get rid of the old ones, and that from the time we started, that's why you have this triangle stage. And what you can see already a little bit on the right hand side is that you have another triangle, or that the amount of old plant modification gets down, because we really focused on getting rid of all of the old plant modification. And if you even would go on the charts which showing just the team boards, then you can see this effort already much clearer. But it's still, I mean, sometime you can see the average of 50%. It's still 7 months of a cycle time for a plant modification. So 50% would be faster than 7 months, but 50% would be also longer than 50 months. That is how you read it. And if you go now maybe to the next slide, this was also a plus, because once we created the process, and as I explained already, we didn't change in the first place so much, but we explained the process a lot with the people, and the people worked with the process, so they really could realize how important it is not or to reduce rework. So what I mean with rework, if we, from an engineering point of view, make a mistakes in our documentation, the guys who will really feel the strong pain in the ass are the guys from the construction side. And that is why we would like to reduce this rework and really to try to get better. And that is why we also focus on that. And right from the beginning, we started already in implementing this, that once the construction guys see a mistake in our documentation, they are allowed now to put it just back in our Kanban board, really on the highest priority, and say, you need to work on it, because otherwise I'm not able to perform my work. And here you can see the graph of how many reworks we had per day. And of course, sometimes it takes some time, some while until you really can finish, because you depend on other guys, some expert centers, or you need to order some parts until you really can finish it. But what you can see on the right hand side is that we really get down a little bit with this rework, and that is also a feedback from the construction guys, that they are really happy about it, that they have a strong feeling that we deal and take care about their needs now. So if you go maybe with the next slide. So actually that is now how the process has been in the maturity level. So after the Kanban bootcamp, we started on the left side an estimation and asked the people what they think, how far are we? And that is what you can see. So it's somewhere between one and two, I would say. But one important point is on the left side is this less overburdened people. It's still red. So the people still have the feeling the bow wave is still in front of us, and it's still pushing on my side. I'm not able to move as I would like. And also the basic of understanding of demand and capacity, for example, is not really existing. And after 6 months, when we performed the same question of the people again, you could see that all these fields are green, and especially this less overburdened people. That is something, as Pep also mentioned already, that is one of the fast things really that your people can feel. And that is really what makes them, from my point of view, enthusiastic to continue this way. If they have a strong feeling, it's getting better, I can move, and I'm more on the driver's seat now. That makes them much better. And also we could improve the basic understanding of a demand and capacity. So at the beginning, you can realize the team, it's really a mind change for them not to start work if somebody asked. Now they have a look in the board and they say, is it something free? Yes, maybe you can put it in my list that I started next, but they will not start immediately. That is what they have done in the past. And that is really a strong mind change that people need to say. And that's why I'm really happy about that this has been so fast after 6 months that we could reach this level already. So maybe if you go to the next, and here are also some impressions of the involved people, what they say about our process now and what they feel. So what you often hear is things like you have a better organization, you can have a better overview, and that also gives and goes directly into the reduction of silo mentality. So really the people see the process as a whole, and they realize if I'm not doing if I perform my work not in the correct way, that somebody else will feel it and will have problems with it. And that is really a good thing. And also what I mentioned with the rework, that the people see that they get help. They get also help in the daily Kanban meetings, which we have. So each day we have a 50 minutes Kanban meeting on the team level, and also 3 times a week and 50 minutes daily on the plant level, let's say it like this. So that means engineering, asset management, process management, everybody involved there, you can really escalate things. And that is also something then what the people learn, that it helps if you escalate things into this round, that you can speed up decisions, problems you can see, that also the people realize that the people see your problems. So in the past, it happened that sometimes the implementation phase were shifted to the next week. And then it means for the construction site, for example, they had to reschedule everything. They need to find contractors again. It's quite a lot of work for them. So now you could raise this up and discuss it in a bigger round, and it really helps a lot. And also, as I explained it, because you have a better overview, you have also a better understanding for the whole process and a much better communication during the dailies. And even if the people had the first impression, it's a daily, it's another meeting. So many other meetings, some review meetings, but it's really useful, especially the daily. It's so useful, and the people communicate much more. They help each other much better during the dailies. That is really a plus, I would say, in the back view. So maybe that leads me to my takeaways. So as Pep also mentioned, you need a strong leadership, and you need it right from the beginning. And also you need to be aware that this is needed quite a long time, because the people try, maybe not your core team, but once you try to implement it with the whole team, the people still try to get back to their old base of working. And that is why what you really need to show them quite often, the big picture, explain it quite often, even if it's 100 times, explain it, it doesn't help. So you really need to take them people And what us really also really helped us is to use blockers. What you realize in your dailies, and when you really try this once to make it daily out of your normal team you have, and which is not Kanbanized yet, then it's really hard to have a meeting only 50 minutes to talk about your whole work. You will realize that you will never get finished. You will talk for ages. And therefore, it's really necessary to have good blockers. So once you know that this, for example, you have ordered some parts and the parts will just arrive in 3 months, it's not worth to talk about this for each time, each day. So you put a blocker on it, waiting for the equipment, and then it's worth just to talk about it in 3 months again. Or maybe if you're uncertain, you can maybe put it in 1 month, that you can remember yourself to ask the supplier if the delivery time is still right or in time. But for sure, you don't need to have a look every day. And you can do it with a lot of things. You can do it with deliveries. You can do it if you need some information from somebody else, but he's on holiday. But it can be also that you as a team has not enough people or resources. So you can stick it with a sticker, we don't have resources, so we only maybe can deal with it next week. And this limits really the number of things to talk about in the dailies to a small amount that it's possible to cover this in 15 minutes. And that is important, because then the people don't see this, let's say, extra meeting as a burden. And also what really helps to get in this is to set ambitious goals for your work in progress limits. It helps the team a lot to get rid of the spore wave, to get the work more efficient, and also it enables you to really just discuss and to get the work done in parallel. So for the engineering, for example, we often have 2 teams. It's an electrical team and a mechanical team. So it's important that they both do the work in parallel, that not somebody finishes works and then realize the other one just changed the whole concept. And that is really, if you have a limit or ambitious goal for the work in progress limits, you are more able to get these things in parallel. And another thing what I really would give as advice, once you try to implement such a Kanban idea or process, really start with the core team. It helps you because in the core team you can choose the people which are really willing for this change, and which makes it really interesting have a strong discussions with them, really try new ideas. And on the other hand, once you as a leader maybe reduce your time in that team, you have somebody to follow you and to still put this idea and push this idea in the whole team. And sometimes also the other team members which are might be not part of the core team, they sometimes also need some more time to get the whole picture, to get into the team. So that would be my first advice to go with it. But that was time for me. So Pep, you can take over again.
So thank you, Jochen. Yeah. So very fast. Yeah. So what comes next? So sorry, but I love pictures to let's say show moods, or let's say how we are feeling, and that it's how I'm feeling now. Yeah. Let's say so. I know straight on there is a wonderful place with amazing sites. I know it. Yeah. And part of the team did the first part of the journey with us. Yeah. And so, okay, it makes sense. Yeah. So the path is sometimes challenging and hard, but at the same time, it is rewarding and exciting. Yeah. But part of the team do not know nothing. Yeah. So about what is coming next. Yeah. And they fear this fog and what it's hiding. So what are we doing now? Yeah. So now we want to step in our end-to-end process. Yeah. So this, let's say, plan modification is a support topic for us. Yeah. So and now we decided, okay, let's get rid from our production chain and let's focus from the very beginning. So when we are, let's say, ordering our raw materials and the supplying, so going through other production and yeah, so support processes to our delivery to the customers. Yeah, let's take it as an all. Yeah, and let's get new people on board. So how are you doing it? We are going to make another bootcamp together with Xuviate. Yeah, so and bringing these new colleagues on board. Yeah, they are not really new in the processes because some of them have already worked in these plant or management of change processes, let's say, yeah, but they were not in the first bootcamp. So then somehow some of the knowledge and this engagement is missing a little bit. Yeah. So then we are organizing again a bootcamp for them, and we will work on this end-to-end process and why are we doing it. So because we are convinced that Kanban is our way. Yeah, that we have reached this level 2 maturity in a short period of time from our point of view. We have to consolidate it, and while bringing these new people on board, perhaps we will have to work again on them, and we want to go for 3. Yeah, so then it is somehow how we are focusing it, and I am quite confident that we will succeed, and I am very happy to have Xuviate on our side there, because they are amazing in our support to us. But that is my point of view. So perhaps to hear your point of view, Mark, as consultant is very valuable too. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Josep and Jochen. I don't really think I can add a lot. It's wonderful hearing it from your point of view, what has happened in the last couple of months. It feels like years, and it actually has been less than a year. So it doesn't happen often that a Kanban introduction from our point of view goes so smooth and delivers such great results in such a short period of time. And I thought it would perhaps be a good idea to think about what were the necessary ingredients or success factors that made all of this possible. I found 8 such critical success factors after some thinking about what really happened, and where if just one of them was not present, we probably would have achieved significantly less, or if some of them were not present, it might have even led to a disaster for the Kanban initiative. So before I go through them one by one, just first a few words about Xuviate. The company I'm a co-founder of. We're a small consulting business of only 2 people, with both of us having our origins in Namibia, South Africa. I now live in Germany, whereas Matthias, my good friend and business partner of more than 30 years, so we've really done a lot together, works from beautiful Cape Town. And yes, Matthias is here in the chat. He probably has been organizing a few things in the chat as well. So at this point, I think it's worth mentioning that we are quite different from, so Xuviate is quite different from many other Kanban or Agile consultancies, as Matthias and I do not really spend much time on supporting IT or software development endeavors, but rather being engineers ourselves, just love to help traditional organizations such as BASF, who have some sort of engineering process or other processes find flow in these projects and other work. And I must say, we just love what we're doing. We just had very good examples as to why our work is really so cool. But let's now go to success factor 1. And you've heard this before today, I think, a lot. I call it engaged leadership. So in Kanban, we talk about leadership at all levels. And the assumption is that it's, well, not the assumption, it's very important to understand that you need to give permission, freedom for leaders all over the organization really to just come to the fore. And this is usually where it stops, because in quite many of these implementations, it's very, very difficult to get top leadership involved. And here, one of the really true, I think one of the things that made this implementation so successful so far is that we have somebody like Josep who was there from the beginning. Like in many instances, we have leaders who come to us, talk to us, and then we implement, but we don't see them again. And then it may deliver results or may just go along. But in this particular instance, Pep was there every single day. I still remember a time when there was a plant incident, is it really something going wrong, and all hands on deck, everybody had to work. And I thought, wow, that's going to influence what we're going to do together. But no, Pep continued working with us, even if it meant like late night emails, communications, but he was just there presenting a very good example of what he expects, what is important. So incredibly important. Now, one other big advantage we had is that we could start with a coordination lead. Now, let me explain what I mean. So when we're looking at the Kanban maturity model, it's a, as you can assume, maturity model, it goes from some sort of low level to a high level of maturity. And this particular instance, Kanban implementations are very often initiated by some individuals and organizations who discover Kanban. They like the flow idea, and they believe we actually need to start getting a couple of people together, which is when it progresses into the team view, where teams start organizing and moving from the I idea, so lots of professionals, to us as we are a team delivering some sort of outcome. Now, level 2 is when these teams start realizing, well, we actually have a lot of opportunity to start coordinating the work between us as teams, because there's an end-to-end workflow. There's some sort of customer in the end, and the work progresses, goes through the entire organization from team to team until it is a happy customer in the end. Now, most organizations, as I said, they start at lower levels of maturity and try to work themselves up. And unfortunately, in many instances, it comes to team level, and then you need to get others on board. And it sounds simpler than it actually is. And quite often, Kanban initiatives just peter out at that stage. In this specific instance, the need was we need to coordinate better between different teams. And we didn't really have to go through the different levels. We could actually start with a goal of reaching level 2. And through that, created a lot of pull. And like Jochen showed with the team boards, these team boards were created afterwards. So sort of backfilling and building maturity at lower levels as we were continuing. But because there was a business need, it was so much easier to start with Kanban, convince everybody, than when going the other way around. So a major part of the success that we are having. But this is not enough. So when Josep first started talking to us, he had these vague words of, we need to change our culture. And I think he explained very well about what is needed in a big organizations like a BASF, who has processes and procedures for almost everything. And of course, it's in the chemical industry, so it has to be very careful. But the message was very clear. We need to change our culture. We need to learn new ways of doing. And during the implementation, we did honest assessments of how the teams were doing, how they were feeling about the service delivery. And of course, there's not always a lot of data, so you had to really dig hard to try and figure out, okay, what are good indications of how well we are performing? And over time, it converted into very actionable measurements, like, for example, the CONWIP limit that Jochen spoke about, where everybody rallied around the goal of, you know what, the first thing we have to achieve in this initiative is getting our work in progress down to a more acceptable level, and working very hard to achieve that. Now that became something tangible. Everybody intuitively understood, if we reach that goal, we're going to have a much brighter future. And it is going to lead to a lot of business results over time. And like we've seen also and what Jochen presented, the expectation is we are going to become a lot faster, but we don't yet see that on the graphs. But we understand that because we've lowered the work in progress, we are going to get to that point at some stage. Jochen spoke about the individuals that had to be involved. So we had the core team, people who were directly leading the implementation, but there were also lots of other people who had to be who had to be brought on board, who had to be shown, okay, well, here's a new way of working. This is how we want to do things. And it was very empowering for all to hear that they can experiment the way to a working solution that solves a problem. So we don't have to figure out everything in exactly the right way. And of course, that's one of the messages that Kanban brings us. We want to have an evolutionary journey, start with what we do now, and then over time figure out how we get to the next level, which of course is brilliant in terms of reducing this so-called resistance to change. And you know, in a big organization like BASF, there were many change projects in the past. So of course, there's always resistance. Whenever somebody comes and believes here is a new way or different thing, there are many people who are going to just put up their hands and say, well, we've been there, we've done that. So this was a different approach, right? Saying, well, we are going to do this together. Now, Kanban Plus, our host in this webinar, also was instrumental in helping us actually convey that message. So here you see, Jochen has also shown before how we, for example, used one of the posters, and there are many really good posters that make it easy to connect the theory with the people. How we use the posters to do an assessment of where we are at the moment, what the benefits are we're achieving, whether we see certain cultural values or not, what the practices are, and which of the practices we may find useful in our implementation. And the message in all of that is that there's a huge body of knowledge, which Kanban Plus makes accessible to us, and that we then can actually look at our problems, our challenges, and then use that body of knowledge to figure out and say, well, this has worked somewhere in the past. Let's see whether we can actually make it work for us. Sort of have an a la carte approach to their own improvement process. Of course, flow is still a complicated topic. So especially if you have an organization which maturity level 0 to start with, where you have very highly qualified professionals that know exactly what they do, they're incredibly proud of the work they're doing every single day. And to them, the challenges are never their challenges, it's somebody else's challenge. And you now need to start talking about, okay, well, there's a us. It's not just a me, there's a us. And we need to work together because the outcome that we're looking for is when the team is successful. That is a fairly challenging concept, and it takes a while for people to really understand it. Now, of course, one of the standard solutions is you need to do some simulations. And in the past, we found that we do regular simulations for industrial organizations. They play the simulation, they get the concepts, understand why you need to limit work in progress. And then right at the end of the simulation, I turn around and say, well, it's beautiful. I understand the concept, but it doesn't work for us. And this but is a real challenge. This is one of the reasons why we at Xuviate have actually developed a fairly complex, multi-dimensional, multi-hierarchical simulation over 4 hours. In fact, we've actually worked with BASF where all the team members of the core team and even some other individuals went through these simulations. In total, something like 8 hours that we played. But the end result is that they could not only play with the tool, so Business Map is a tool that we're using, but they could also experience what it means to start limiting work in progress at a higher level of coordination. And with that idea planted, obviously the next steps were a lot easier. Now, I've already spoken about the tool, and you have seen quite a lot of images, screenshots of a tool called Business Map. In fact, Xuviate only works with organizations who implement Business Map. And with that, we're not saying this is the only tool. What we're saying is that the tool choice is very important. So one of the last things that you want to do is to start your Kanban journey, convince everybody that, well, it's a good thing, let us work towards some sort of goal. And then later on discover that the tool that you chose does not implement some basic things that you really need in order to make the journey progress. And changing a tool midway is a very, very hard thing to do. So it doesn't matter really which tool you're choosing, but the tool choice is not irrelevant. And fortunately, from Josep's point of view, they already had used Business Map before. Another instance, another cluster at BASF had a couple of years before had started using Business Map. So already it was a given, the tool was known, and of course we actually supported the tool, and that's how we met. We spoke about this also at length, and Jochen also mentioned how skeptical he was when he said we needed to go live. Now, it sounds like a little bit dangerous, I mean, you have not planned through everything in detail to go live. But the idea is not to go live and take risks, but actually just go live with something that is somewhat accurate in portraying the current process so that we can start getting into the doing. And to do this, we have developed a bootcamp program. So as a name bootcamp actually implies, it's something that you immerse yourself in. We expect at least 20% every week for 8 weeks of the individuals who are participating to immerse themselves in the theory, in the simulations, in building their own system using static, in building their business map systems, or Kanban as it was called before, and then starting to get into review cycles, understanding what the meetings are for, etc. But essentially learning everything that needs to be learned to have a foundation to start running a system. And very important is that go live part, which happens after 3 full weeks. So the first week, that's getting started, and that's finished after the first session. And then really it's 3 weeks until the instruction is you've built enough, go live. And then the rest of the bootcamp is then to reinforce the learning and make sure that the cadences actually get established. Which brings us to the last success factor, which is continuing managing for flow. So even though you've had all the theory, even though you've been in simulations, you've built a system that works, things atrophy relatively fast. And one of the reasons is that some of the cultural values have not yet been fully established, which is why ongoing support after such an initial implementation through a bootcamp, for example, is incredibly important. And one of the things as part of that ongoing support is to make sure that these cadences, the meetings, are actually established, because they change over time how people think and do the work. And there are 3 cadences which all but jump up as the most important cadence for us in an organization to get started with. Jochen spoke about the daily meetings, the Kanban meetings, however you want to call them, where they have 2 sets of Kanban meetings, one at the team level, and then coordinated with these team level meetings. They have one for the change management process. And that currently happens 3 times weekly. That's one part. But since you have work in progress limits, you also need to make sure that you prioritize correctly and have the right type of work ready at the right time, which is where the replenishment meeting comes in. The coordinating level replenishes on a monthly basis, and that's obviously where quite a lot of the operational needs of the plants are flowing in, whereas the teams replenish on a weekly basis. And I think then probably the most important meeting and probably the most difficult meeting to get implemented is to review your systems at the team level, at the coordination level for flow, and start creating that really truly deep understanding of that once we start a work item, we have to finish as fast as possible. And if you don't do that correctly, then you start regressing to old behaviors, old patterns very, very quickly. And this is the last item that I want to manage. If it doesn't matter how much work you do, if you do not follow up correctly, if you just assume, well, I've done the work, I've done the training, it's all going to work now, be careful. And fortunately, we have been on a good journey with BASF now to continue making sure that that actually starts establishing. But as we've all said, the journey continues. Josep has some interesting plans. There are new people to come on board. There are ideas to get to maturity level 3 at some stage, but it's maturity level 2 for a particular part of the business, but there's still many people not yet touched. So there's still a lot of work ahead. And we're looking forward together to continue on this journey. And that brings me to the end of my part, and I can hand over to Anya.
Okay, guys, thank you very much for this presentation and for this case. A lot of interesting information. Probably you haven't seen it or you haven't seen all of it, but we had like very hot discussion in the chat and we have a lot of great questions, so we'll save them for Q&A in a moment. But first, before the Q&A, let's do the giveaway, which I promised. So I will share my part now. All right. So before we do the actual giveaway, I would like to just shortly introduce Kanban Plus to those of you who are for the first time here. So the Kanban Plus is the platform that we built more than 4 years ago, actually, but in October, we always do our anniversary webinar. And it started as KMM Plus, so this like small kit that actually now became a Kanban Plus. And as you all could have seen already, KMM Plus is working, Kanban method is working, and is helping organizations to grow and to mature and to be better at what they are doing. Mark, Josep, and Jochen were mostly showing the KMM Plus impact on the organization and the KMM impact on the organization, and this is what you can find in KMM Plus. If you are looking for some basic knowledge, this is better with Kanban Plus, where we so far provided you the access to discovering Kanban book, but there will be much more stuff about implementing Kanban from scratch from the very beginning. And we also have Fit for Purpose Plus that helps you to better understand your customers, your markets, and the environment that you are operating with, so that you can provide the products and services that are best for your customers. And in Kanban Plus, we are right now offering the access to the content, where you have basically you have access to Kanban maturity model, discovering Kanban, and Fit for Purpose. But we also offer you the access to a lot of other books, free books, paid books. So this is what you can access in Kanban Plus. We are also providing you with a lot of extra assets like interactive posters, videos, articles, case studies. So this case study from today will probably soon become part of Kanban Plus archives. We also have a lot of download materials. So you could have seen the posters that Mark was presenting just a moment ago. For example, the last one was a feedback loops poster that you can use for your daily work. And last but not least, we also have self-paced learning modules where you can access the videos explaining more deeply with a lot of examples, real-life examples, how you can apply this concept. And we try to collect all Kanban knowledge in one place for you, so you don't need to browse, you don't need to Google search for any more Kanban knowledge anywhere else. Basically, when you access Kanban Plus, this is where we are always keeping up to date, always the most fresh knowledge about Kanban. So if you want to be up to date, just join us. And we hope that you will like it. So because we have our 4th anniversary, we would like to give you 4 accesses, 1-month accesses to Kanban Plus. And for that, our panelists prepared 4 questions. So now the rules are that I will be showing you the question. And please write the answer to the question in the chat. And the first person that comes with the correct answer will receive from us 1-month access to whole Kanban Plus content, which includes KMM Professional Access, Fit for Purpose Professional Access, and Better with Kanban Standard Access. Okay, so I hope that you are ready. So let's go with the first question from Josep. Which was the third, and from my point of view, the most important key thing to succeed with Kanban implementation? Okay, so we already have the correct answer.
Soren.
Okay. Yes, it was Soren. Thank you very much for helping me, because now I tried to scroll up to see the name. Yes, so the first correct answer, which was strong leadership, came from Soren. So Soren, congratulations. Please contact our mailbox, customers@kanban.plus, and this is where you can get your access to Kanban Plus. All right, the second one. This is the question from Jochen. In what way did we improve the focus of the daily Kanban meetings? Yes, and we have answer from Victoria, which was about setting blockers. So Victoria, congratulations. The same. Please contact us at our mailbox, customers@kanban.plus. Question number 3, coming from Mark. What was the WIP limit that the BASF team introduced for all planned changes? 64, yes, and it was Karin, if I'm correct. So Karin, congratulations. Please contact us. And the last question coming from David. Jochen showed how they used the KMM to access the benefits they achieved, to assess the benefits they achieved. Which of these benefits probably had the biggest impact on the participating individuals? Yes, it's less overburden coming from Anita. Congratulations, Anita. Okay, so it was fast, actually. I didn't expect that you will answer that fast. So congratulations to everyone. But it's not like we are leaving you without anything right now. So we are celebrating Sweet October because of our 4th anniversary. And because of the Sweet October, we decided to give a special offer to subscribe to All Kanban Plus. So still 2 days left. So please hurry up if you want to use it. So there is special All Kanban Plus offer, special access to basically all the content that we have right now on the platform. So you pay for 10 months, and on top of that, you got special 20% bundle discount. So instead of paying 318.50, you pay 254.80. So you can buy directly on our page, or you can contact our customers mailbox if you need more details. So feel free to use it. And last but not least from me is something that a lot of people were waiting for, and we also promised it for some time already. And actually, what I have seen today in this presentation, in this case study, is something that hopefully soon will be developed using our new tool that we are just finishing, which is Kanban Appraisal Tool. So we are just polishing it up. Few more days, maybe a little more than days left, and we'll give you the access to our appraisal tool. So this is something that we are working on for quite time already. We had quite extensive testing program with a lot of people doing Kanban involved who validated some ideas behind the appraisal. And now we are building it for you, so it's much more convenient than just traditional Excel files that some of you are using. And with this appraisal tool, basically you would be able to do the stuff that Mark, Jochen, Josep, Matthias did in BASF. But now you will have the chance to do it much quicker and more convenient. So with our appraisal tool, you could evaluate the objectives of your organization. You will have a chance to make data-driven decision making. It will provide you a clear roadmap on your way to improve the organization. It will support your continuous improvement. And what we are building right now is just a start. So we plan to develop this application. We plan to make much more of it. But for that, we need your feedback. So if you decide to subscribe, if you decide to use appraisal, we really count on your feedback because this is the tool for you and we would like it to be convenient to you. So from today on, until the moment we release this appraisal tool, we give you special early bird access. So this is for those of you who would like to access it early, let us know what you think about it, share your feedback. So basically we'll build the application that is fitting your purpose. So please go to our webpage and subscribe even now. You also have the QR code if you want to go there direct. And now let's use the remaining time for discussion and the Q&A. And I think that we can start with David.
Thank you. Josep and Jochen, thank you so much for the presentation. It's really fascinating. And my father worked for 35 years at a chemical factory as an engineer, so I can relate significantly to what you guys do for a living. The presentation reminded me of one of the great, very early Kanban implementations from 2006 at Hewlett-Packard's laser printer division, where they decided that they had to introduce a whip limit like you did. And in your case, it was about 140 and you reduced it to 60, if I remember correctly. And we see the line gradually going down, and you said it was necessary to have strong leadership during this time because nothing new got started. The Hewlett-Packard people had a very similar situation. They had 900 features in progress for the firmware for the new generation of laser printers. And they forecast it would take 4.5 years to build all these features. So they set the whip limit at 90, and they had to take 900 down to 90, and they couldn't wait 4.5 years. So they had a very difficult meeting where they challenged people with 9 out of 10 things we have in progress has to be stopped. And it appears that you guys did the opposite, where you carried on with everything that was in progress and you stopped accepting any new requests. Could you elaborate a little bit more on that decision process and the discussions that were had? Because I assume it was a difficult, challenging decision. And would you make the same decision again if you had to do it over again?
Jochen, do you want to start?
You can do it.
So, yeah, obviously it is not easy. Yeah, not easy for me. Yeah, so we want to get the things done. Yeah, and we had all of us the feeling the more we have in the pipeline, then the more we are working on. Let's say. Yeah, so so it was not easy. What we did is to establish, let's say, a feeding meeting once a month, and then let's say to discuss about the new initiatives. Yeah, they had to bring, let's say, a certain quality. Yeah, so some information, some documents, perhaps a cost estimation. Yeah, so depending on the type of initiative you wanted. Yeah, so then if they were not, let's say, yeah, bringing everything, then we were not discussing about it. And we remained very, very strong. Obviously, there were some discussions at the beginning, but here we come back to this strong leadership. Yeah, so here, Jochen and myself as leaders, let's say, yeah, plus Michel, who is attending today, but not explaining it. Yeah, so then we were very hard, let's say. Yeah, so and no, sorry, but we are not discussing. We are not, let's say, putting more work in the pipe stream. Yeah, so a side effect of that, let's say, is that we reduced a lot the quantity of ideas to discuss. Yeah, so let's say the quality, if you want this quality proof, was done not in this feeding discussions, but let's say at the beginning, at the very beginning of the idea in the team selves. Yeah, so and so then we were managing it. Let's say it took 3 months, let's say a couple of months. Yeah, so to go down to the 64 more or less. Yeah, and right now the fact, yeah, is that we know we can have 64 in the pipeline, and sometimes we are below this number. Yeah, so because most of the ideas we say, okay, it is not the time to initiate it. Yeah, and we are initiating the things we can do in a faster way, let's say. Yeah? So that is how we approach it.
Yeah, so you've really raised the bar for the definition of ready, and pushed the conversation very upstream where it belongs, that things will not be started until you're have a high confidence you can finish them. Very good.
Okay, so we have a question.
Which was a plus was the situation that a lot of the plant modification were raised from safety reviews. So a lot of the plant modification we really had to perform, which has been in the system, and just some of them we also stopped. But it's just really just a few of them. The most of them we really had to perform, and then afterwards we really could decide what is the most benefit for us to fill up the system again.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. And we have a couple of questions from the audience. So maybe I will start with something that is very commonly observed situation. I want to know if there were any resistance against the changes. If yes, how did you deal with this resistance?
Of
Sounds
course,
like you
yeah,
did,
so
Pep.
there was some, yeah. So, but I do not take the resistance as a negative thing. Yeah, so I think it is common. Yeah, so we are trying here to change. Yeah, so as Mark mentioned in the when he was talking about us here, there are people with a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge, and which were working, let's say, in a way for many years. Yeah, then to expect without any resistance to try to change it, then I think it is not what we can expect. Yeah, and in this discussion, yeah, so then we are, yeah, so let's say going further. Yeah, so how we did it. Yeah, so as Jochen said, for this first approach, we selected our best people. Let's say, yeah, so the people we think, okay, they have less resistance. Yeah, and even if they are thinking, okay, how to do it, yeah, then they will step in and go further and support, let's say, the initiative. Yeah, so then we focused in these people, knowing, yeah, that we are letting behind perhaps people that are very important, because we have these silent leaders in the teams. Yeah, so who can really demolish everything in a couple of minutes. Yeah, so then we have to get rid now from these people. Yeah, so and then is now it comes in this critical phase from my point of view to let's say bring them in the system. Yeah, and to win the mindset, because they are able to move the other ones. Yeah, so then a lot of, let's say, yeah, work behind the scenes. Yeah, to talk with the people. Yeah, to accompany. Yeah, so to support them. Yeah, in their feelings. So we had a chat with so this week. So no, next week, last week. Sorry. So mid of last week, with the ones who are stepping in this second boot camp, and one of them told, "Look, Pep," and he told it, yeah, in front of everyone. Yeah, so I'm here not the youngest. Yeah, so I will turn 60 in a couple of years. Yeah, and I really have a lot of challenges with this IT world. Yeah, so how the hell do you want me to step in? Yeah, so then it is quite good. Yeah, that he is talking openly about it. I think it is talking good about the culture we are moving on. Yeah, so to discuss about it. Yeah, so then now is the time to, let's say, support him. Yeah, to step in, because he really wants to, but he does not know how. Let's say. Yeah. So resistance for me, we have to accept it. There are different levels of resistance, and therefore are we there. Yeah, so we have to move the people, let's say, and to support them. It's my point of view. Yeah, it is obviously not easy. Yeah, so and so Mark was showing this true north. Yeah, so we have in mind the straight way to the true north. Yeah, but we know the path is somehow a little bit hilly. Yeah, so then okay, we will go the way and follow it. There was a question, perhaps, if I can, Anna, sorry for that. Yeah,
Sure.
but about the leadership and how we move the leaders. Yeah, so so most of the people, or at least half of the people who were attending the first boot camp were our leaders. Yeah, so then I think, yeah, it is a good approach. Yeah, to bring them, let's say, from the very beginning on board. Yeah, and it makes me happy. I say it like I feel it. Yeah. So part of these leaders came to me a couple of weeks ago and told me, Pep, we do not want to join the second bootcamp. Yeah. So now it's our time. If you are there, then we are somehow behind. Yeah. And everyone is expecting you to push forward. Yeah. So now it's our time. Yeah. And I think it is, yeah, let's say the right way. So now it is that they are leading it, and I'm quite happy with that. Yeah. Because yeah, it's showing that they have the commitment we need to succeed. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we still have a couple of minutes for one or two questions. What is the clear measurable benefit for the company that you are able to realize with these changes?
So right now we are not seeing the benefit for the company. So we have to be very open with that. Yeah, it is not something you are seeing from the very first minute. So we want to serve in the better way our customers at the end of the day. Yeah, and it is related to costs. It is related to quality of our product and to this delivery reliability, if you want. Yeah, and these processes, how fast are we able to make a change in the plant, so are supporting to go in this way. So then right now what are we seeing is what Jochen and Mark were commenting. Yeah, so the way of working, so these first, let's say, trends that we are moving in the right direction, but at the end of the day we need some time to show it. Yeah, so and it is not easy. It is not easy because in such a big company, you saw that in the slide, yeah, we are a tiny point, red point near the river. Yeah, so somehow now we have a double accountability, because here there are some many, I don't know, processes, softwares, whatever you want. Yeah, and we decided, okay, let's move in another direction. Yeah, and there was a question too about our management, how we convinced our management. So here, I don't know if my manager is attending. He told me, yeah, he wanted to join. Yeah, so then I hope we did it well, Jochen. But yeah, so I don't remember the words. Yeah, but somehow is okay. Give me a chance to convince you. Yeah, so I am not able to show you in advance. Okay, I will succeed. Yeah, I had a past experience, a very positive one. Then give me a chance, and he supported me. So somehow, yeah. So I have to say thanks for that. And but this double accountability is not helping, yeah, because most of the people have to work somehow in two worlds right now. But we are convinced it is the way to go, and if we succeed, then we will be able to implement something here that we can roll out to the rest of the company.
I would say that Kanban also allows the people, or really gives them empowerment, that they can take decisions now, that they can create their own process. And I think that is also important for this. And also, I mean, I could show, as I have shown it in the graphs, I mean, it sometimes takes some time as you really realize it in the graphs, but I'm pretty sure and really confident that you have already the right setup and put the right basic configuration. For example, right now we are really much more focused on prioritization of plant modifications. That was never the case before. So that was already a big plus. And what Pepis also mentioned, when we really have a focus on our end customer, and we really need to something quick and fast modified in the plant, now we are able already, because we can put it on a higher prioritization. Before we could have told it's a high prioritization, but at the end the people would like to do whatever they are interested in, because it wasn't really through the whole process prioritized. And that is, I think, the good basis now. But as Mark also explained, the journey still continues, and right now we still change our boards, we still make some modification, try to get better and better.
Thank you very much. Maybe one last question. I found it personally interesting because this is something I hear very often in the classes. So does management understand that stop starting, start finishing offers advantages, or were there disappointments because there was less plant modification started due to work limits?
It's not easy to answer this question. Yeah, so I think for that we have to understand our processes in the company. Yeah, so our managers are not deeply involved in our plant changes. It is our business, let's say, how to do
Okay.
it. So we have to, let's say, move budget, move money, let's say, and deliver. Yeah, and these two walls, yeah, so they are not upset, yeah, because they are not, let's say, very involved in these kind of decisions. Yeah, but as I mentioned, so a couple of questions ago, yeah, so they gave the support. Let's say, yeah, okay, let's do it. Yes, do whatever you think you have to do, but at the end of the day, deliver what we are expecting.
Okay.
And I think it is very valuable to work in this atmosphere, which is not in such a big company, something that we are normally facing. Yeah, so therefore, yeah. So
Absolutely.
I quickly want to add something there. A couple of weeks ago, one of the mid-level managers came to me. So we talked about the benefits and what worked, what didn't work, etc. And one of the negatives that came up with is that we're completing less work now. We're getting less done. Because the perception is we're limiting our work in progress, and now because we inevitably have to complete less. And then when we went back to the graphs, and Jochen also showed it in his throughput run chart, the trend line was continuing going up in terms of number of change requests actually completed, even though everybody was feeling a lot more relaxed, a lot more sort of at ease with the work. But there were still some parts, because it's a connected system, there is a bottleneck, and we clearly could see the bottleneck in the system. And it was very apparent that, yes, some parts of the system may actually run out of work to do. They can focus on other things, but the plant changes, there's not going to be enough work to keep all of them busy, because there's a clear bottleneck, and we have to respect that bottleneck. But still, completing more, not less. And we expect actually to, over time, even complete more with this new system.
Okay, amazing. Thank you very much one more time for this wonderful evening, at least in Europe. I wish you all the best. Good luck with your further improvements, with your further growth. And I hope to see you in a couple of months again, with maybe like what happened 10 months later. So thank you very much for your time. And thank you very much to all attendees one more time. And we see you soon, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Have a
Good
nice
night.
evening. Bye-bye.